Let me tell you, when I started working as a police officer and I was on patrol, I used to bash the school resource officer job wholeheartedly. I admit it, and I was wrong. Oh my gosh, it was a lot more work than I ever thought it would be. Hey, what's going on? My name is Scott, and for the first 9 years of my police career, I worked on patrol and enjoyed it very, very much overall. I didn't take good care of myself though. I got so wrapped up in working as a canine officer that I unfortunately almost lost my marriage, and I had to come off the road for family reasons, and I was put into the schools. Now, I went to a very busy middle school, and I couldn't believe just how busy it was. I mean, with the amount of fights, the amount of theft, the amount of students sending pictures that were not very appropriate at all. I'm not going to get into it any more than that. I was always doing something, and with, being in the halls for class change, where it was nothing unusual for someone to act up. I mean, it really was a lot. But here's the thing that really took me back when it came to working in the schools. And I don't mean like took me back in a shocking bad way. I mean like I was really surprised by this. The fact that school resource officers can make such a difference in young people's lives. It's absolutely incredible to me. Now, don't get me wrong. You're there to work as a police officer. There are laws you have to enforce. There's safety protocols you have to enact and be aware and not get complacent each and every day at the school. Don't get me wrong about that. But ultimately, when I went to the schools, a veteran school resource officer told me, you're going from like enforcing laws on patrol to more of a mentor and a proactive cop. And I took that seriously. And I'll just never forget how there were these gang members, out in the hallways. They had to do their thing to impress others and appear all big and bad. But I would get them one-on-one in my office to try to talk to them, let them know there's more to life than that. And I remember when we got done talking, we stood up and I said, all right, man, shake my hand. And he gave me a little, like this. And I pulled him in. I said, what is that? I said, firm handshake, look me in the eye. And he never forgot that. Sadly, when he was locked up, he wrote me a letter and he said, I'll never forget the handshake. You just never know the kind of difference you're going to make. I do hope that former student of mine eventually gets out of his own way, gets out of the gang culture, and makes an impact for people in a good way through his talents, which if he ever finds this video, he knows what I'm talking about. But also in the schools, no day is the same. It's the same as patrol. Yes, you're in the same place, going back to the same office to handle things, but no day is essentially the same. And you can't plan for it. There's calls that happen within the school. If you work at a school that has activity, that is. And I didn't mind that. I don't like doing the same thing each and every day. That's one of the pluses of being a police officer. It's just a lot of different experiences. And then what I noticed at the schools was my body was feeling a little bit better because I was on a regular schedule. 2 weeks of days, 2 weeks of nights, and then being groggy on nights. I didn't miss that. I really didn't. So it was better on my body for sure. So if patrol's really starting to wear you down, don't dismiss going to the schools. You can make a difference. You can protect people. You can still have a wide variety of experiences. It is what you make it. And the next thing was events. I mean, you got to work all these events, football games, basketball games, softball games, baseball games. I made good extra money working the basketball games. But yes, the downside to that is it's more time away from home and you can't get that time back. But hey, the money was still good. Not going to take away from that. Another thing I enjoyed about the schools was you got to know, obviously, the faces and names of the juveniles who unfortunately were out there committing crime, and I was able to work with patrol one-on-one to help identify them whenever they were out there committing serious crimes. Like one time when I was still working at the middle school, there was a student who unfortunately committed robbery against another, and the patrol was like, hey, who is this kid? And I was able to identify him and then inform them about that person. So there's still that dynamic teamwork with patrol and the school resource officers, which is a good thing. And then another thing was to teach people how to be aware. What I mean is, in the schools, obviously, and unfortunately, active shooters, to which I call them active attackers, active murderers. Shooting is a sport. As Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman always points out, shooting's a sport. These people are on campus to kill as many as they can. But it was the school resource officer's job to teach the staff how to be aware, how to react, how to defend, how to protect their students, stuff like that. And it's very good because you never know what your lesson plan can do to help someone else prevent them from being a victim of a crime, even outside of the school. And what they learn, they take to other people, friends and family, so that they can be safer in the workplace, stuff like that. you really do have a huge chance to make a difference in the schools. And that's what I'll never forget about it. But my advice to anyone wanting to work in the schools, if you see a student who is known for bad conduct and the staff points them out saying, this is the one that will act out, it is your job, in my opinion, to proactively get to know them. Get them out of class and word it this way. Say, hey, do you want me to get you out of class? They're not going to say no. And you bring them into your office and you say, look, I'm not here to interrogate you. I'm not here to say you're in trouble. I'm just here to let you know that if you're feeling angry, please find me. Please. I'm not an excuse to get out of class, but I would rather you find me or talk it out with somebody than to get into trouble and then all of a sudden you find me having to charge you with a crime for disrupting class, fighting somebody, communicating threats, whatever the case may be. Let's prevent that and be yourself. They know if you're trying to fit in. They know if you're trying to change your lingo up so you can appear cool.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
Forget that. I didn't care what the students thought about me. When you go through experiences when people try to kill you, you really don't give a crap about others' opinion about you. If someone doesn't like me, so what? Okay, that was a long tangent. Okay, back on track. They know if you're being fake. They know if you're not being you. But I was being real with them. I'd say, seriously, I'm here to help you, but you gotta let me help you before you do something that screws you up. And they really took heart to that. And I had this big punching bag in my office and they would come punch the bag. And I would say, hammer fists only, hammer fists only. Not here, because I don't want you to get blood on your knuckles or break your wrist. So hammer fists only. I had so many students come. There was this one girl, I'll never forget her. She would say, I need the bag. And she just looked right at me and said that. I said, there it is. Go at it. I mean, boom, boom. I'd shut the door. She was rocking the floor. She was hitting that bag so hard. And then she'd get up, walk away. She'd be a lot better. Look, school resource officers are really some underrated heroes, in my opinion. And if you want a good job within policing outside of patrol, I'm not going to knock being a school resource officer. Seriously. Now, I never worked in an elementary school. I know they teach a lot of DARE and mentoring programs, but I can't speak from it. Never worked in one. Although it is kind of cool when you walk into an elementary school, they're like, hey, officer, rather than the schools I worked in. I'd say, hey, good morning. And they'd be like, you. I'd be like, yeah, nice chat. Have a good day. So if you're a school resource officer and watching this video, please comment below how much you've enjoyed it. Give advice as to how officers can be successful as a school resource officer. Let's protect the students. Let's make a good impact on them. Take care of yourself, and may God bless.